I did something wrong. She didn't.
What did you do?
She doesn't know what I did.
Okay, that's fine. I ain't...
Let me talk to you over here. Okay, I'll leave it. I'll put it back.
What is it that you did wrong?
So that's body cam video of Morgan Geyser, the Slender Man stabber, and I'm going to play you all of the video in just a second. Thanks so much for checking out my show. I really appreciate it. Please click to subscribe. Slender Man stabbing suspect Morgan Geyser is back behind bars. You remember she was 12 years old when she stabbed another 12-year-old 19 times. It was a brutal attack. I'm going to give all the backstory in a minute. She's now 23. Officials say she cut off her ankle monitor and went on the run from her group home, making it to Chicago and taking off with a man. I'm going to talk to someone who actually knows Geyser and suspected that she left with a man. She will explain why and what she says should happen next. But first, let me play the body cam video from when she was found with the man in Chicago outside a truck stop.
I appreciate it.
No problem. I just want to make sure you guys have someplace you want to go. How old are you?
I'm 23.
23?
Yeah.
How old is he?
She's transgender. She's
How old is she? 23? Okay.
I don't have my ID, but...
Alright, well, give him your name and date of birth. We just got to make sure you're saying who you are and you say you are. Okay? You're not missing stuff. Okay?
Right.
Thank you for calling.
Okay, what's your last name?
I don't know why I have to do this.
Because I don't believe you're 23. That's why. Okay? We got called here for a call. So, just be honest. I want to make sure that you're not missing. As long as you're not missing, you can go on your way. Are you missing from somewhere? Well, just give me your name and date of birth and you can be on your way.
Okay, I'm 19.
Huh?
I'm 19.
19?
Yeah.
That's fine. You're still an adult. So,
Yeah, so what's your last name? No, what?
I don't want to give you my name.
okay, well, then we're going to arrest you. We're going to take you an ID. We're going to hold you an
don't
ID
wanna do that.
at the station. So, you don't want to obstruct an officer. Give me your name and date of birth. You're not wanted for murder, right?
Right.
Okay, then there
have a
shouldn't be
problem,
any
I
problem.
Okay? You're making it bigger.
What's your
deal
last
than
name?
it is.
Reese.
How do you spell it?
I-E-S.
I-E-S?
No, G-R-I-E-S.
Okay. G-R-I-E-S. What's your first name?
Stephanie.
How do you spell it?
E-P-H-I-N-E.
E-P-H-I...
A-N-I-E, sorry.
A-N-I-E. Middle initial?
And what's your last name?
I don't know.
You spell that?
Do you have a middle initial? Okay, what's your date of birth?
R-O-U-O-B.
April 16th, 2002.
Okay.
Oh, Robertson, okay.
And your last name is G-R-I-E-S? Alright. 3014, I have a name and date of birth. Last name George, Robert, Ida, Edward, Sam. First name Stephanie, Sam, Tom, Edward, Paul, Henry, Adam, Nora, Ida, Edward. Date of birth April 16, 2002. Female. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
No, we just got called in for a service call. So now you did something wrong, but just come back no record on files, and that means you're lying on us about your name. Okay? So now that's obstructing. I'm going to give you one more chance before we're going to take you in custody and fingerprint you. Okay? So just be honest. It's not a big deal. You're making it a bigger deal.
So Stephanie,
Give me your real name. Okay? Because if he comes back, no record on file also, which I hope he doesn't, because that means both of you are lying, I'm going to take you both in for fingerprints. Okay? Don't make us do all that. We just want to send you on your way. No, you can't. You guys wanted for something? Then why are you hiding your name? I don't understand.
So you didn't come back to anything either, even out of Wisconsin.
I just don't want my identity out.
Okay.
It's just personal preference.
Okay. You can have that preference, but we're going to have that preference of taking you in and fingerprinting you. Okay? That's what we're going to do.
Is there any way to avoid that without...
Yeah, give us your right name.
just give us your real name and that's
we
it.
can go on our way. We don't want to mess with you. We don't want to take you in and fingerprint you. But if that's what I have to do, I have to make sure you're not wanted for anything, no homicides or anything like that. That's it.
I can promise you
Okay.
that much, and I know
I don't know you and you don't know me.
I know. But
Okay? So
You just gotta identify
give
who
your
you guys
name.
are, that's it.
make sure you ain't wanted for no warrants, and then you're
Okay.
good. Stephanie, one last chance.
Both of you guys have the last opportunity.
This is your last opportunity.
Okay, let's try this again.
I don't know what you're
What's
so
your
scared
what's
about.
what here? What's your last name?
Please just let me go.
What'd you say?
Please, I didn't break
Can
the
we
law.
please let her go?
So
I didn't
You
break
did
the
by
law.
lying
you're
to the
breaking
officer.
And you guys are loitering
Federal
here.
statute of obstructs identification at this moment, which is a Class A misdemeanor. That's a arrestable offense. Therefore, you can be placed under arrest for that. Both of you, because you lied and you lied. You give me your real name.
And we got dispatched here because you guys are loitering in the back of the business. It's not like we
When there's
approached you
signs
guys.
posted, there's no loitering. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So it's not a big deal. What is your name? Don't make us arrest you and do all this extra stuff that we don't need to do.
We have other stuff to worry
I
about.
know. We got way more serious things to worry about than this. But we got called here. It ain't like we just walked up and started messing with you.
And not only that, but when we print you, it could take a day,
2 days.
2 days until your prints come back before we can. So you'll be in our custody until we can release you. If you want to
And
stay
your-
all day, that's fine.
And your prince might come back before him. So then that means that he would still stay at the station and you might get released. You might as well just avoid all of that and tell us your real names.
So if you want to stay in a cell for 3 days, by all means, we'll go this route.
At this point, we're just going to detain.
Okay.
Detain him.
Put your hands on your back.
Please let her go.
Then,
Please let her go.
then give me your name.
I did something wrong. She didn't.
What did you
She
do
doesn't know
wrong?
what I did.
Okay, that's fine. I ain't.
Let me talk to you over here. Okay, I'll leave it. I'll put it
What
back.
did you- what-
Okay.
What is it that you did wrong?
I did something really wrong.
What?
What is that to you?
It can't be that serious. What was it? And what is your name? What's happening? We don't want problems with you, okay? We just need to ID you. That's it. What did you do wrong? What?
She doesn't know my real name.
Okay. Well, give him your real name. Don't tell him.
What's your last name? Okay, so it's Morgan.
Morgan.
And then your last name?
Geyser.
G-U... What is it?
Geyser. I promise she did not know.
G-E-Y-S.
ER.
And then what's your date of birth?
May 16th, 2002.
Okay. So Morgan is your first name, right?
Yes.
G-E-Y-S-E-R?
No.
Let me say goodbye, please.
Okay, we will.
I will never see her again.
Yeah, you will.
No, I won't.
3014. Can you take a name and date of
I
birth?
did something bad. Let me say goodbye.
We will let you say goodbye, but just stand by it until we figure out what's going on. Okay?
Last name?
I'll let you say goodbye.
Here, Richard, can you just...
Yeah, no matter.
Last name George,
Okay.
Edward, Young, Sam, Edward, Robert. First name Mary, Ocean, Robert, George, Adam, Nora. Date of birth May 16th, 2002.
She didn't know my name.
It's not letting me.
Getting called in.
I have low battery.
What is it?
May 16th, 2002, female.
How about what's good? Is that your real name? They didn't come back.
That's my real name.
What's your middle initial?
E.
E?
Trust me.
Is that your real birthday?
Yes, May 16th, 2002.
You got E as in Edward?
No.
Okay, middle initial.
She said E, right?
Yeah, E.
3014. Can you try that again? Middle initial E, Edward.
I love you. You didn't know, I'm sorry.
014, Morgan Geyser.
Okay.
Go ahead and put your hand in.
You said I could say
I will
goodbye.
let you. You guys going to the same place, okay?
Okay. I promise you didn't know.
Okay. You ate?
What?
You ate anything?
Yeah.
Is your ID in your purse? Honestly. So we're gonna go through it.
It is.
Okay.
I know you will. It's not.
Okay. We're gonna go through it.
Milo, female, sir? Here, just go over there.
You promised I could say goodbye.
Yeah, you guys are going to the same station. You guys are going to the same place. Okay, we know you're not giving us your real information.
Yeah.
So why are they saying that there's nothing on record with that name?
It's me. My fingerprints will pop up.
Your what?
My fingerprints will pop up.
Look awful?
Will pop up
Oh, okay.
when you fingerprint me.
And you're telling me that your information that you gave me will come back to those fingerprints?
Yes.
Okay. .3014. Can we please get a female search?
Okay, look, I'm putting these back. Okay, what is your real information? Because here's the thing. Who is that to you? Who's that to you?
Best friend.
Okay, where are you guys from?
Charlie X-ray 37278.
Okay.
Charlie X-ray
Here's the thing.
37278.
Okay, we have to identify you. Okay, whether you agree or disagree with that, that just plays no fact into it. Okay, the law is very clear. You have to provide your information, and I'm pretty sure you're a smart person, so you understand that. Okay. Now I ain't trying to have you in our station for 4 or 5 days, maybe even a week, until your prints come back.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Unless that's what you want to do. So,
I know.
but you didn't give me your real information. I don't care about her right now because they're dealing with her. I'm dealing with you. Okay.
I can't.
You can't give me your information?
Mm-mm.
Why? What's Well, why can't you give me your information? What's wrong with that?
I just can't. I just can't.
So he says he just can't give me his information. Oh, put your hands behind your back. Interlock your fingers for me. Interlock them. Nope. There you go. There you go. Just like that. So, it'll be this way. You want it to be this way. I'm gonna get your prints regardless. So, I just did all that extra stuff and catch extra charges for nothing. Alright, do me a favor. Just relax, take a couple breaths, relax, alright?
It's cold.
I understand. Trust me, I know it's cold out here, okay? So,
Please say goodbye.
give me a minute. Spread your feet for me, okay? You got anything on you you're not supposed to have? Any crack pipes, anything?
It's not a crack pipe. I have it chilling in my left pocket.
What is it?
Weed in it.
Okay, in this pocket?
I think so. That's the weed. It's
Yeah.
legally bought.
Yeah.
THCA. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay.
Only welcome to search. Can I please say goodbye to my
Give me a second, okay? Right now you're in custody, okay? So therefore I'm gonna go through all your whatever you have in your pockets, okay?
When I said you're gonna arrest us,
Nope. You guys are gonna be separate.
I thought I'd at least try.
Here, face away from me. There you go. Just like that. Yep. No needles, right? Any needles? Hey, talking to you. Any needles?
My backpack has my injections for my HRT.
Okay, what about, I'm talking about drugs. Any drug needles?
I don't
And
think
paraphernalia.
weed is all I do. Just what you took out. And that's just.
Try that again. I don't know if it's Park 7L12, calling you on this 10-8 situation, so. Time for 014, Morgan Geyser, final record.
Alright. Come over here with me, I'll get your stuff. 312, we got 2 in custody.
Chicago led to even more deeper passion for us to continue to do God's work here and to build this organization so that we can help fight hunger and give hope.
31 years later, the organization Food for Friends feeds thousands every year. Get the full story at kayla.com/positivepeople.
My pastor once said that there's a difference between being a peacekeeper and a peacemaker, which is what I think Paul's talking about in 1 Peter 3:11, where he says, turn away from evil and do good. Search for peace and work to maintain it. He said that peacekeepers tend to avoid conflict, thinking if I just leave it alone, we'll be fine. Peacemakers tend to actively engage the conflict. Why? Because they want to find resolution through justice, mercy, and reconciliation.
So let me give you guys a little bit of the backstory here for those of you who don't know. The Slender Man stabbing in 2014 made headlines just because of how awful it was, how young the perpetrators were. 12-year-old Morgan Geyser and her friend, 12-year-old Anissa Wire. They lured their classmate Peyton to a wooded area in Waukesha, Wisconsin after a sleepover. The girls got Peyton to lay down, pretending that they were playing hide and seek, and then Morgan Geyser stabbed her 19 times. Stabbed her all over her body, in the arms, legs, and torso. The girls then walked toward a forest where they said they believed Slender Man was in a mansion. The girls claimed they had orchestrated the entire attack to appease this fictional character, Slender Man. The victim was able to crawl out of the woods and had to have emergency surgery. A passerby ended up finding her, and she was nearly killed. One of the stab wounds missed a major artery by just a millimeter. Morgan Geyser and her friend, they were tried as adults. They were found guilty by reason of mental disease. They were essentially committed to a mental hospital. Morgan Geyser has tried to be released Several times, a judge recently approved her conditional release after experts talked about all the progress that she had made, and she ended up being allowed to live in a group home with an ankle monitor. Prosecutors spoke today after she was now back in custody after her escape, saying that they will fight for her to have her conditional release revoked.
So we take this very seriously. Our office will not get involved again in this case until a motion to revoke her conditional release is filed. We will then go back to court. We will fully support that motion and that petition to revoke her conditional release, and we will then go before a judge to make a decision on whether or not she will be returned to conditional release or whether she would be returned to institutionalized care, which is where she came from.
Prosecutors said what they find most concerning is that after all this time, she would violate her conditions this way.
It's extremely concerning that you would so blatantly violate a very, very simple condition, which is to stay in the placement and keep a bracelet on. And that we have no idea what was going on is extremely concerning to the state, because immediately my thoughts went to the victim and keeping the community safe. But as additional information is gathered, that would be the kind of facts that are put into a petition to revoke, and that would be what is litigated at that motion hearing before the court, when I'd be able to gather more information, whether there are specifics about the dangerousness. But I think those blatant acts in themselves certainly speak to the dangerousness there.
I'm joined now by Kathleen Hale. She wrote the book Slender Man, Online Obsession, Mental Illness, and Violent Crime of two Midwestern girls. And she really knows the case unlike anyone other. Thank you for joining me, Kathleen. I appreciate it.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me.
I've known Kathleen for a while, so when I saw this yesterday, I was like, oh my God, Kathleen, because I knew you knew the case really well and you knew Morgan. What was your first reaction when you heard that she had allegedly, ripped off the ankle monitor and went on the run?
I think like a lot of people who care about Morgan, I was devastated because she had been so close to freedom. She'd been released from the mental institution where she had been previously incarcerated. She was reintegrating into the community via a halfway house, and this has obviously sent everything into an extreme reversal, and it's just so disappointing and heartbreaking to witness this kind of a regression.
Did you get to know her at all when you wrote the book?
Yeah, I got to know Morgan very well. I spent a lot of time with her at Winnebago, where she was incarcerated. We spoke a lot on the phone over a number of years. We wrote to each other. She sent me artwork and stories, and I've been in communication with her since she was about 15, turning 16. And covering her case since she was 12.
So with her being so close to freedom, and already sort of at freedom in a way, living in a group home, why do you think she would do this? Kind of in a sense, throw it all away.
I know. Well, when you first reached out to me and I saw the news and stuff, my first thought was that she had become involved with a man or someone who had promised her some sort of romantic connection. Morgan, since she was first arrested, has been subject to the advances of, for lack of a better word, perverts. And I know that that's a strong way of putting it, but I use it really literally. She was locked up in juvenile detention during her pre-incarceration with teenage boys. Some of them were sex offenders. Some of them were, had committed really, really intense, violent sexual crimes. And those were her first crushes. Those were her first boyfriends. All of that was normalized for her at the age of 13, And then you have to take into consideration that even prior to being arrested, prior to committing this crime, Morgan was the victim of sexual abuse at home, which has only come to light in recent years. Since being at Winnebago, she has been receiving mail from a lot of males who are turned on by her crime, who like her because of what she did in 2014. And this is someone who has been incarcerated since the age of 12. Morgan has no romantic experience. She is on the autism spectrum. Her social choices are impaired. She is vulnerable. And so I just had a really bad feeling that someone had gotten in touch with her, that they had forged some kind of bond, and that this person had convinced her to run away. And we don't know yet if that's the case, but she was found with somebody, and I have a pretty good feeling a pretty bad feeling that that's what happened.
Yeah, it sounds like it was an older man, like in his 40s.
Yeah, that's what I saw. That's what I saw in today's reports. They were found sleeping on the sidewalk, I think behind a gas station or something.
Yeah, by like a truck stop, I think.
Yeah, and then somebody called the police on them for loitering. And, I think the way that Morgan was apprehended, sleeping on a sidewalk, I think it just speaks to how the bad decisions that she is making. And what I mean by that is, like, she was sleep on a sidewalk out in the open. This is not somebody who's like a criminal mastermind who's doing like some kind of, Machiavellian like getaway. This is somebody who is sort of frozen at the mental age of 12 when she was first institutionalized, and is making decisions from that place.
Yeah, she apparently told officers, at first gave a fake name, but then told officers to Google her and said she had done something really bad. Does that just sort of show that she still realizes that, I guess there's just so many people who say she should have never gotten to this point anywhere where she had this kind of freedom because she did something bad. She realized she did something bad. Does this kind of just play into that?
Look, I understand why people feel that way about Morgan, just like based on the headlines, but the data we have, which is decades old, it shows that kids who are tried as adults, like Morgan was, have the highest difficulty reintegrating into society. And it's not a sign that she was too, quote unquote, liberally handled. It's a sign that she spent her entire adolescence inside institutions. So if anything, this should make us reconsider adult prosecution of children, not double down on it.
When you got to know her, would you have felt comfortable with her being released?
People have asked me this a number of times. They say, do you think she's dangerous? And my honest feeling is that no, I don't. I think she's vulnerable. Vulnerable people make impulsive decisions. They panic. They get influenced. There's no evidence at this time that she tried to harm anyone, and no one involved in her care believes that she posed a threat to the public or to the victim. And speaking of the victim, I can only imagine how frightening this must have been for her. No one wants to wake up to the news that somebody who once harmed them has left supervision. And I want to be clear that no one believes that Morgan fled with the intention of finding the victim, but any fear that the victim may have felt is completely real and completely valid. But no, I think that my strongest sort of feeling when I was spending time with Morgan was just, wow, this is a child. This is, she was so young. And that's sort of what I thought about her. I didn't feel threatened by her. And I always had this very strong sense when I was around her, particularly inside Winnebago, that the clock was really ticking in terms of how well she could be as a person if she continued to stay inside this locked treatment facility. I really felt like it was not a therapeutic environment for her, and that sort of sense has been echoed by doctors and court-appointed psychologists. Everyone has said that the longer this person stays at Winnebago, the less meaningful life she'll have. And I think that that's sort of a euphemism for the less well she'll reintegrate into society. And we may be seeing the effects of of that today.
If she's 22 now, though, doesn't she bear, and I get what you're saying, but doesn't she bear some responsibility? Like, she got this second chance in a sense, and she is an adult now, and kind of threw it away, or not kind of, I guess did throw it away. Like, shouldn't she be responsible for that at this point?
Of course, of course. You know, she's made a really, really unfortunate decision. I guess what I'm saying is not that she shouldn't face the consequences of that decision to run away. What I'm saying is that this experience, it echoes what the science says, which is that when you try children as adults, their developmental trajectory is altered in ways that make reintegration incredibly difficult. She's the product of institutionalization. She might be in her early 20s biologically, but mentally, in many ways, she's frozen in adolescence. And, you know, her autism is not an excuse. There are many people with autism, myself included, who have not necessarily committed crimes. But it's something to consider when we're discussing her state of mind and why she might have made such a terrible choice to abscond from custody.
When you were talking to her and got to know her, did you get the sense like she would ever do something like this, or was she sort of on a better path then?
It's a great question. You know, she always had plans for her release that to me were not necessarily grounded in realism, but sort of the fantasies of a child. You know, she knew what kind of cat she wanted to get. She knew what she would name the cat. She had thought about what her room would look like on the outside. You know, she and her mom had plans to get a manicure. She wanted to be an author and a writer. And I'm not saying that's not a realistic goal. I'm just saying that, you know, she was thinking about her future in abstract terms, and when she was more sort of like literal, it was things like cats and posters and things like that. So I think, you know, in retrospect, what I'm realizing now is that maybe she might not have had the supports she needed to form a more practical, realistic idea of what was waiting for her out there. I also think that because of her autism, she might have needed more literal and direct coaching about what she should avoid or do or not do, things that might seem obvious to someone without autism were not necessarily obvious to her. You know, yeah, that's sort of what I'll say about that. Other things are coming to mind, like about stuff that she said about what she wanted to do when she got out, but I just, I'm hesitant to share them because I don't want to betray her privacy or anything like that.
Are you having any second thoughts about the way you felt about her when you wrote this book, the way you thought things would turn out? Because I know just, you know, also as a journalist, you know, you believe in certain people, you know what I mean? When you get to know people and you sort of, obviously you wanted things to end up okay for her. I mean, since this happened, have you had any second thoughts like, gosh, maybe I got this wrong in the way that I was thinking about her? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. Look, if it turns out that Morgan harmed somebody physically when she was running away or, you know, was planning to, that would definitely upend my world, my understanding of her, the framework through which I have so far viewed this case. But I still believe that Morgan is not a monster. She's a young autistic woman who was sexually abused as a child. She suffered a severe mental health crisis at the age of 12. She grew up inside psychiatric institutions, and she spent years working to get well. I saw that firsthand. Trying to understand her own life has been one of her constant goals. Trying to not slide into suicidal thinking because she hates herself so much for what she did to the victim in this case. But I do believe that I do still believe that she deserves compassion and she deserves a future. And the book I wrote about her is still true, regardless of how she's acted in the past couple days. Ultimately, I think the story is the same. It's the story of a 12-year-old girl who victimized somebody, and then she, in turn, became a victim of the status quo in Wisconsin, where children as young as 10 are prosecuted as adults and sent to prison.
What do you think should have happened? Because it was, obviously a really serious crime.
Yeah.
And you think about the victim, and it's awful. And it is kind of hard to think about someone like that not being punished.
Oh my God, totally. I think that, we built the legal system as a process of rehabilitation and reform. I think that more and more it's sort of becoming this tool of like Christian reckoning, and people sort of take it for granted as an instrument of punishment. What I think should have happened to Morgan is basically what would happen to any minor in most United States, which is that she would have gone into juvenile detention, been released at the age of 17, and then been under heavy scrutiny until the age of 25. And by that I mean having to, come in for checks, like do whatever. They could have even negotiated some kind of ankle monitor. I know that she cut off her ankle monitor, but that triggers an automatic response. And the breakdown in communication, the time lapse that happened after her escape is troubling for reasons that extend beyond Morgan. But I think the thing that's very ironic in this case is not only that it sort of has ended where it began, which is her running away for a man, or for like the sort of specter of being cared for and things like that, but also that, she's in her early 20s, she's not 25. If she had gone through the juvenile system, she might have had even more oversight, and she definitely would have had more tutelage in how to be a productive member of society. When she was in juvie, she was denied a social worker. She was denied an education. This is again somebody who hasn't been to school since the 6th grade. And that was because of her adult charge. So all of the resources that would have been afforded to children in juvenile detention, for instance, like the young sexual predators that she was housed with, they received resources that she did not receive that arguably may have better suited her to, reintegrate as she was supposed to. So I think that it really, once you know the difference between adult prosecution and the prosecution of minors, you can see how differently this case would have gone. And I don't think it's that people think it's such a radical view to say that children should not be prosecuted as adults, but it's really not even about clemency. It's about the practical realities of what happens when a child is pushed through that system.
What about the victim in the case? How is she doing?
I'm sure that this has been extremely difficult for her. Can you imagine? The last time that her voice sort of entered this story was when the judge on the case was considering Morgan's release, and they had decided to put her in a home that was within 8 miles of where the victim lives. And so she came out saying, please don't do this. I would rather not go about my daily life worrying about running into her. And I think that what happened here in terms of Morgan getting out, the victim must have felt extremely worried, and I mean, I can't speak for her, but perhaps even betrayed by the legal system. You know, they had gone through these measures to respect the victim's wishes, but they probably should have thought ahead of time about the fact that she might not want to live within 8 miles of Morgan. 8 miles is a pretty short distance in Wisconsin. You can drive it in a minute. And then add this to it, and I mean, it's re-traumatizing to have to see this in the news and to think about, you know, whatever it is that the victim in this case thinks about when she's worried about Morgan. It must have been incredibly upsetting.
Was the victim against Morgan even getting in a group home and that kind of thing? Like, did she have a say in any of that?
It's become difficult to disentangle the victim's wishes in this case from the statements made by her parents. On a ABC 2020 episode a while ago, a long time ago, the victim had said that she wanted Morgan to get help. It seemed at that time that she was very much in support of Morgan going to a hospital instead of a women's prison, which I found very profound for someone to have that kind of forgiveness in their hearts. Really speaks to the victim's character, and you know, it's moving. But when Morgan was sent to a hospital, the victim's parents reacted in a very upset fashion. They said that, you know, justice had not been served, and they've fought Morgan's release. They fought Morgan's release at every juncture. So I'm not actually sure how the victim felt about her getting out, but I don't think it helped that her release was slotted for a place in such close proximity to where the victim lived.
And just my last thing, when you talk to Morgan, and this is kind of an involved question, but when she did that, when she, you know, stabbed the victim so many times, how did she describe it? Like, did she thought she was really doing it for Slender Man? I mean, did she remember, like, how, is it something she still can talk about?
Morgan, with me, has never been able to talk about the actual event, the actual stabbing. I know that she believed so fiercely in Slender Man that she was still waiting for him to come and get her 2 years into her incarceration. And that's when she sort of realized, and it was in tandem, I think, with medication. She realized what she had done, and she realized that she had done it for nothing. And that's when the new thing that she was sort of battling was just the desire to destroy herself, because she realized that it had all been, you know, in her head. But until then, she truly believed that he was going to rescue her. And, you know, she was a scared child, and she thought he was going to rescue her from the sexual abuse with her father. And you combine that with the mental capacity of a 12-year-old, you combine it with, you know, autism, you combine it with trauma-induced psychosis due to sexual violence. And I think the scariest thing about this case is that under the wrong circumstances, perhaps any of us could become violent, but we don't really want to acknowledge that. And so it becomes much easier to characterize violent people as monsters, because it's a way of telling ourselves that we would never become them.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that part of things, but it's just hard to imagine. I don't know, like, it's almost like, are we making an excuse for her when we say, oh, she was sexually abused, and oh, I mean, so many people that I know, I mean, we all had major issues growing up in different ways. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah, of course.
don't go on to try to kill in that way, you know?
No, of course. Well, I mean, yeah, totally. I really, really hear you. Here's the thing that I have trouble with is the rejection of context when we're discussing the case. We have this idea as a society that once somebody does something very reprehensible, in this case, it's unforgivable in many ways, that we stop listening to them, that we stop talking about them, that they become invisible. You just take them away into the wilderness of our prison system and we never hear from them again. And so it's considered a deeply controversial act to listen to them at all. And I faced a lot of criticism when I wrote this book, which works very hard to present the sort of first true full account of this stabbing, which has been reduced in the mind of the public to murder, which it wasn't. I'm not saying that it was not bad, but it was not a murder. It was an attempted murder. There's so many misconceptions about this case, so much mythology, even beyond Slender Man. And people would say to me, like, basically, like, how dare you? How dare you put this other perspective out there? You're hurting the victim by doing this. And my response to that is just, why can we not hold these both things in mind? She broke the law. She does. There should be consequences. But if we can't talk about what was going on in her life and some of the contributing factors, then we can't begin to understand the motive. You know, we can't just reduce it to bloodlust or anything like that. And what I'm campaigning for is not for people to think that Morgan Geyser is some kind of victimized angel. What I'm trying to get people to understand is that there is a state in our nation where children as young as 10 are prosecuted as adults in cases of violent crime. It is the most extreme law in the country as far as the adjudication of minors in adult court. It is so extreme, and it was put into motion by this theory called the super predator theory, which you know about. In the 1990s, they believed that children in urban centers were being born sociopaths because of the conditions of their youth, and that there was no way to reform them, and that when they broke the law, the only way to deal with it was to send them to prison as young as possible, get them out of society, etc. It caused huge problems. This theory of the super predator ended up being false as Slender Man. It was made up research. And yet this law in Wisconsin still exists. And it is a burden to us as taxpayers. It increases recidivism rates. Morgan's journey is evidence of that. And it creates more crime. So if we can't talk about Morgan Geyser with a certain amount of empathy, I don't think we're ever going to be able to upend this very destructive, tough on crime discourse that is actually bringing more crime into our lives. And I think it's a post-internet phenomenon, the limited empathy that we have for people who commit maybe not even crimes, but errors. And we're sort of losing our capacity to accept diverse viewpoints. We're more confrontational than ever, but we cannot engage with diverse viewpoints. So I think rather than saying, shut up, don't talk to me about Morgan's background, I was raped too, I'm autistic too, all of that stuff, maybe we could sit with the discomfort of knowing that this is not a purely evil person, and part of the reasons that she made this terrible choice to abscond from custody were engineered by the circumstances of her incarceration and what that looked like.
Yeah, and just, I guess, playing down, I'm just thinking some people watching this are going to think sort of the opposite, I think, of what you're saying. Like,
No, totally.
this totally shows that, you know, when she was given this chance to not be treated like, you know, just like an adult prisoner and thrown away forever, she got the group home, that she, I mean, cutting off the ankle monitor just kind of showed that she really didn't learn. But I guess I see what you're saying, too. It's not like she did something violent. She was just sleeping by a truck stop. I mean, there's obviously a lot of ways to look at it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm, yeah, you know me, I'm totally open to talking about that stuff. I like it when you play devil's advocate with me.
Yeah, yeah. I thought of you right away. I texted you right when because I knew you wrote the book. So I was like, oh my gosh, Kathleen's gonna be really. I figured maybe you already knew, but I think it had just broken. I'm like, she's gonna be really surprised to hear this.
I know, it was so sad. Look, all I'm saying is, I'm not sure that she would have made this terrible choice had she not been prosecuted as an adult. It's just baked into the statistics that kids who are prosecuted as adults go on to make really bad choices and break the law again. And kids who are prosecuted as kids, they have lower recidivism rates. And kids who are prosecuted as adults, they lose faith in the justice system that wronged them. And that might help to explain why she thought she had to take matters in her own hands and not play by the rules, which was a terrible, terrible choice. I wish she hadn't made it. It's heartbreaking that she was so close to living a meaningful life, and she upended that for whatever reasons. We'll find out soon enough. But yeah, I don't think that the solution to this is to prosecute more children as adults and hemorrhage taxpayer money and create more crime in the process.
Appreciate Kathleen Hale for talking with me. It's certainly just a complex and very disturbing case, but she's back in custody now. I also really appreciate everybody for following along with my show, for watching this episode. Appreciate all the support, and I'll talk to you guys later.